Good evening. I'm Bruce Goldstein, Film Forum's Director of Repertory Programming. Our guest tonight is the writer and historian Matthew Sturgis, author of this marvelous new book, Oscar Wilde, A Life, published by Knopf and on sale today at our box office. Mr. Sturgis is also the author of acclaimed biographies of the German-born British painter Walter Sickert and illustrator Aubrey Beardsley. And here he is from his home in London, Matthew Sturgis.
Thank you, Film Forum, for having me. It's certainly a very happy thing that Film Forum is mounting this season of Oscar Wilde's films, for the Forum would have been Oscar Wilde's local cinema, at least during the year 1882, when, as a young man of 27, he spent 12 formative months lecturing and living in America. For much of that time, he resided in New York, in Greenwich Village, at 48 West 11th Street, only a few blocks from here. He went out often to the theatre, the opera, and even to Coney Island, and he would certainly have been delighted to find so close to home a cultural venue that had the taste and style to mount a season celebrating his genius. He would have been delighted too to realise that his literary works, whether plays or stories, had called forth the tribute of artistic reimagining by others. It was one of his conceits that whenever a beautiful flower grows in a meadow or lawn, some other flower, so like it that it is differently beautiful, is sure to grow up beside it, all flowers and all works of art having a curious sympathy for each other. He relished such sympathetic cross-fertilization and the entrancing variations that arose from them. The Picture of Dorian Gray was originally a novel about a picture, and here, in Albert Lewin's superbly rich screen version, it is refashioned as a moving picture about a novel. The novel was Wilde's first great artistic success, even if it was something of a success de scandale. It was published simultaneously on both sides of the Atlantic in June 1890 in an American monthly called Lippincott's Magazine, and was at once recognized as something sensational. The inspired central conceit of the portrait that takes on the signs of aging while the sitter remains unchanged quickly took hold in the popular imagination. Soon people were speculating that their improbably youthful-looking friends must have a painting in the attic, and such speculations have continued ever since. In its mixture of subversive philosophizing, low-life settings, and Gothic horrors, the story was considered by some critics to be one part Robert Louis Stevenson, one part Huysman, and one part Wilde. And certainly all the elements are present. The gathering sense of concealed dread has echoes of Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which had been published just 4 years previously. The dedicated hedonism expounded by Lord Henry Wotton and acted on by Dorian draws heavily on the works and ideas of Huysman and the other French decadents. In this film version, Lord Henry makes his first appearance reading a copy of Baudelaire's Les Fleurs du Mal, one of the seminal works of the decadents. But the paradoxical wit and humour with which such ideas are expressed was undoubtedly Wilde's. And those who knew Wilde well recognised how much more of himself he had put into the tale and its telling. When he wrote the story, Wilde was 36. Although a married man with 2 children, he had begun to explore the possibilities of same-sex desire. Although there was, of course, a great physical excitement for him in this, Wilde, as a classical scholar, was keen also to align his new feelings and new experiences with the traditions of ancient Greek pederasty. And the notion, set down by Plato in the Symposium, that an artist's passionate love for a beautiful youth might provide the ideal conditions for the creation of a beautiful work of art. Certainly this idea stands behind Basil Hallward's creation of the extraordinary portrait, just as it stands behind Wilde's creation of his extraordinary novel. To one friend, Wilde confessed, "The story contains much of me in it. Basil Hallward is what I think I am. Lord Henry is what the world thinks me. Dorian is what I would like to be, in other ages, perhaps." And it is thrilling to feel Wilde present in the story in all these aspects. What perhaps shines forth most vividly on the page and on the screen is Wilde's epigrammatic wit, the way he plays with ideas, subverts conventional expectations, and overturns accepted hierarchies. Frank Harris, who knew Wilde well, considered that the opening scenes of the story were the directly distilled essence of months and months of Oscar's talk, with Lord Henry being particularly Oscar's mouthpiece. And listening to that dialogue, preserved without alteration in Albert Lewin's screenplay, and bodied forth so brilliantly in George Sanders's gloriously mellifluous voice, carries us back into Wilde's world, a world that is at once perfect and poisonous and deliciously unexpected. Enjoy the film.